Daniel is face down, crying out, afraid, burdened, overwhelmed. And I love that we have a God who lifts us. We have a God who's an encourager. He also says you are very precious to God. I don't know who needs to hear that today, but you are precious to God. He loves you. He sees you. He cares about you. And I'm so thankful that we have a God who lifts. Some of you are down today, and God is a lifter. We even see this in Psalm 3 when we have King David running for his life. And this is what he says in Psalm 3, verse 3. He says, "But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory and the lifter of my head." God lifts those he loves, and he loves you immensely. You might feel discouraged. You might feel down. But he is a lifter of your head. He is a shield about you. And he hears your prayer. Not the second time, not the third time you pray. He hears you the first time you pray. And so today I want to highlight 3 different truths about God that is going to give you faith, an unshakable faith in the waiting, in the silence. And so number 1, if you're taking notes, God hears our prayers immediately. God hears our prayers immediately. Listen, just because you haven't seen immediate results doesn't mean God doesn't hear your prayers immediately. He hears them the first time you pray. And waiting doesn't equal silence. It might just mean that something deeper is happening spiritually, something behind the scenes. And I love that there's a voice that says you are precious to God. He loves you. He sees you. He hears your prayer. Not day 2, not day 45, the first day. And that's what we find in verse 12. He says this, "Then he said, 'Don't be afraid, Daniel. The first day you began to pray for understanding and to humble yourself before our God, your request had been heard in heaven. I have come in answer to your prayer.'" And I think that's a word for somebody. You've been praying and you've been seeking and you've been praying and waiting and waiting and waiting. And maybe at times you feel a little bit stupid. And you think to yourself, well, why bother? Is God really going to do anything? Do my prayers really matter? I mean, is anything going to change? And I'm here to tell you, he hears every single prayer. Since day 1 of beginning to pray, he hears you. Every tear you've cried, even in the darkest hour where you have nothing left and you're down to nothing, he sees you, he hears you, and he cares about you. Your cries, your prayers reach the very heart of our God. And so Daniel is praying for 3 weeks, and he sees nothing. He sees nothing. But an angelic being says this in verse 13. "But for 21 days, the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia blocked my way. Then Michael, one of the archangels, came to help me, and I left him there with the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia." So I want to hit the brakes real quick. You might be thinking, well, what in the heck is the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia? And there are some things in the Word of God that make you creak your head like this and go, huh? And that's one of them. But I love that it's in those moments. And here's just a truth that we can grasp onto. The journey of being a follower of Jesus will be laying before the Lord, reading God's word and being like, there are certain mysteries of God that I don't understand and I don't comprehend, but I trust him. And it's in those moments I like to be a Sherlock Holmes. And I like to go on this investigative journey. And I encourage you to do the same if you don't understand something. And so Bible scholars talk about this spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia being this demonic force or a fallen angel. And it's this great picture of a spiritual war happening. And I would go to say that sometimes the loudest lies of the enemy comes at the quietest seasons where he's picking at you. He's picking at you, trying to doubt God's goodness. Is God really good? Is God really for me? Do my prayers really matter? Is God really working? And one of the best pictures to describe this ongoing war is found in Ephesians 6. Ephesians 6, verse 12 says this, "For the struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." And it gets at this idea that when you're praying, more is happening than meets the eye. There's this invisible war happening, this invisible battle. And when you pray, God is directing all of heaven to fight for you on your behalf. And I love that in this story, we see God intervening, God showing up. When Daniel was seeking him and there was silence, God releases an angel to protect Daniel. And what's super powerful about this is Daniel prayed and he saw nothing. But just because Daniel didn't see anything doesn't mean God wasn't working. Doesn't mean God wasn't up to something. And I think that's an encouragement for someone here today. You've been praying and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm here to tell you that with God, a waiting season is never a wasted season. A waiting season is never a wasted season. There's transformation happening. And often the deepest work is happening on the inside of you, where you're depending on him like you never would any other way. You're relying on him. You're building roots that are going deeper, further, and wider in who Jesus is. And that's what we see with Daniel as we see an angel coming to Daniel's aid. And that gets to my second point, if you're taking notes. It's God is fighting for you while you wait. God is fighting for you while you wait. While you wait, while you lean into God, all of heaven is fighting for you, for your behalf. And there is more happening than meets the eye. And I want to encourage you today, don't quit in the quiet. Because while you're waiting, God is still working. He's still up to something. Don't lose hope. Don't lose heart. Daniel's delay wasn't denial. It was a battle that was in the unseen realm. And it kind of pulls back the curtain for us today. And it gets at the idea that our prayers are so oftentimes much more a part of this bigger supernatural story that is unfolding. And as disciples of Jesus, we are called to walk by faith and not by sight. And I love that whenever we're at our weakest, God's power is at his strongest. He's able to be strong through you. He's able to meet you at your point of greatest weakness. And in the modern church, I think oftentimes we're so focused on the practical that we miss the supernatural, this spiritual side of things, where this war is happening, this warfare is happening against the marriage that you feel like is on the rocks. This warfare that's happening against your children that don't know Jesus that you've been praying for. This warfare is happening against your thought life as you're spiraling into depression and anxiety. You see, God doesn't waste the waiting. He's working in it. And what looks like delay may just be a divine battle. God is sending help. Waiting doesn't mean nothing's working. It just means that something deeper is at work within you. And often, I love seasons of waiting. I love them and I hate them. I love these seasons of waiting because they're an opportunity for God to refine us, to shape us. And a question that I love to ask in those seasons of waiting is, God, what are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to teach me? Often I'll journal that question. And the first day I journal it, I probably aren't in the right space to really journal much. But if you keep coming back to it and lean into the voice of God, man, he'll be speaking. And some of the best lessons come from those seasons where you're waiting on God. You're relying on him. And so when you're discouraged and you're hopeless and you're wore down and attacked like Daniel, I love our third point. It's this: God will give you strength to stand. God will give you the strength to stand. And we see this in verse 18. It says this: then the one who looked like a man touched me again, and I felt my strength returning. Don't be afraid, he said, for you are very precious to God. Peace, be encouraged, be strong. Listen, there's someone here today that I believe God is bringing back a spiritual strength, a spiritual fervor. When you're at your weakest, God's at his strongest. His strength is made perfect. And so I want to remind you, it's in the seasons of waiting and silence and disconnection from God that Daniel wasn't left to collapse. He was strengthened by God. And God might not give us the answers that we want immediately, but we can trust that he's going to give you the strength to stand firm. And so if you're here today and you're feeling discouraged, one, I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know that it's okay to not be okay. And I love that the beauty of a church family is that it's a big reminder that we're a part of something bigger, that you have brothers and sisters that are in the muck and the mess with you. And secondly, it's in the waiting that God hears your cries. He hears your prayers from day one. And just because you don't see him working doesn't mean he isn't doing anything. Some of you are in the waiting room of faith right now, and it's within the waiting room that there's a resilience being developed. There's a grit being developed. And so the story of Daniel today reminds us that God heard you day one, and he may feel silent, but he is still working. He is still fighting your battles and giving you a strength and a grace you didn't know you had. And so today, church family, I want to encourage you to wait with faith. Wait with worship and wait with some grit. Come on. The same God that stood with Daniel that we read about is the same God that stands with you, strengthening you for the journey ahead today. And the other thing I want us to realize is that Daniel was strengthened by an angel, right? But I love that today we are strengthened by someone much greater. You know who it is? It's Jesus. Jesus himself stepped into the greatest spiritual battle ever fought, not to deliver an answer, but to be the answer at the cross. He died for you. He defeated the powers of hell and darkness so that you could be free. And I love that his resurrection proved that silence isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning. And so if you find yourself in a waiting season, let the presence of Jesus be your confidence today. And let his promise be your anchor of hope. Because the one who bled for you and died for you and rose again is with you still in the waiting.